Jenny with Gunter Creative. This is the second video in a series of tutorials that will show you how I made these long stitch leather books. And the first video was just a little introduction, and in this video I'm going to talk about preparing the leather. Real quickly, I have been purchasing single shoulders in 2 to 3 ounce or 4 to 5 ounce sizes at Tandy Leather. The ounce is the thickness of the leather, and this is a pretty good size piece. See, it's a single shoulder and it's natural vegetable tan leather, and it costs about $40. I'm sure that will depend on your location and where you find the leather. It's pretty good thickness for earrings or books, and so is the 4 to 5 ounces. It's a little bit thicker. So in this video, I'll show you how I prepare the leather and dye it, and I've tried some different colors. There's red dye, and this was a light brown, and this is a saddle tan color. I'm sure I'll be trying more colors like green and orange. The Pro dye comes in probably about half a dozen different colors, several of them being browns. So here we go on how to prepare the leather. So here I've got some vegetable tanned leather. It's 3 to 4 ounces. I would recommend, if you go to Tandy or order your leather online, to go with 3 to 4, 5 to 6 ounces. It's a good thickness to serve as a book cover. It's vegetable tanned leather. That is what's best to use on the laser, and that's why I've chosen it. I'm not a big fan of this pinky color, so what I'm going to do first is dye it a light brown. From my research, I've learned that actually before you dye it, you need to put some oil back into the leather because it's rather dry. And after we do that, we'll be able to use the dye and it will receive the dye better. So this is neat's foot oil. You can purchase that online or at a store like Tandy. And I'm just using an old dishcloth that I've cut into pieces. Put it on the cloth and just rub it in. This doesn't have to be really smoothly done because this is not going to color the leather. We're just returning some of the oil. Now that I've added it in circular motions, I'm just going to go across like this. Put in a little bit more. And we'll just let it dry a couple minutes and come back and do the actual dye portion. Now that I've let the oil dry just a couple minutes, I am ready to add the dye. Another thing I've learned is that you should really use the oil version of leather dye on vegetable tanned leather. This I'm using is a light brown color. You can thin it with alcohol, so I've just put them in this little plastic cup. I'm not very scientific at all, but it's about half and half dye and half alcohol. I want to thin it out so that I can put it on the leather in really thin layers to try and make it a little more even. So I have another piece of the dish towel that I've used on this color before. So I'll just dip it in there. I'm wearing gloves this time. And put it on in thin layers. Start out with circular motions. And go back different way again to try to keep everything nice and even. Hopefully when we're done, the only inconsistencies we'll see on our leather are the natural ones. Since leather is of course a natural material like wood, it also has a grain, and sometimes parts of it will absorb the dye more or less, and that's just fine. Another thing you'll notice about leather is it does get darker when it gets wet. So this piece will not be quite this dark when it's dry, but it looks fairly consistently dyed, which is good. You can see some parts of the leather that are inconsistent, but that's the leather, not the dye. In the next video, I will quickly show you how I do the designs for the leather and why I've chosen the way that I have. Then we will laser and paint the designs on the leather.